We are playing with lights, camera, action, and we are ready to begin. Tonight, in the first 21 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about some serious commitments that you can make up front before you start, before you get into the action even. And then we're going to talk about the sentiments of a message and also kind of backups and plan Bs that you can have in place if you like. So this is how we're going to discover all those moving parts before the presentation even jumps into action. And as I start out in these first 7 minutes, I'm going to talk about the moments before the action, what it is that you do to be in a performative frame of mind. How do you deal with a countdown not to get nervous? And what can you do with truth and some authenticity? Because after all, that's how we connect with our audiences and that's how it all works. I'm going to show you a picture of somebody who started this craze, I think. It was D.W. Griffith back in the Hollywood heyday of Hollywood. That's him sitting there with a massive loudhailer. And in the heyday, this was really it. If you imagine that the movie set was hundreds of people who weren't artisans who were trained, they were just creative people and they were noisy and excited about what's going down. And somebody has to say, control, shut up, let's go, everybody. And obviously this is how this worked. But it attracted kind of maniacs, and some of those initial directors were they were nightmares. And there was an ego that started happening. And I think that that's perhaps where this whole idea of lights, camera, and action came from. I'm here at WeWork in Sandton, and there's a production running. And I'm fascinated by how many times I hear people shout loudly and loud commands going around. And I just don't think that that is the kind of atmosphere that you want when you are trying to work and when you're trying to get into a space where you have to present material. In fact, if I had to pick, I would say this is the world. It's a deep breath. It's a global view, a huge view that you have. You can take in the air. You can almost sense the atmosphere out there, and it's clean and fresh and really just very beautiful. And that is kind of the space that I think one can start with. I mean, imagine if you think about a singer who has to go out on the stage every night to perform a song. Now, when you're performing a song, oftentimes the music and everything works with deeper emotion, and you often see performers who cry on a stage, who cry during a performance because they get swept away by the words that they wrote, a song, its special meaning to them. And I think that that is really the kind of space where you want to be as a performer, or if there's something performative that you're going to go and put into this talk of yours, those are the emotions that your audience will feel. Those are the emotions that will reach them. So how could you begin with that, and where should your state of mind be? Well, frankly, I think you have to start by looking after yourself. And I think that starts with something as basic as a bathroom check. Do a power pose when you're alone if you're comfortable with it. And whatever you do, don't pretend in front of people that you're not nervous, because we all get nervous. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes down that'll obviously work with your psyche, and you can't pretend not to be nervous. It's just not possible. Some of the other stuff that you could look out for is to reframe those nerves as a kind of an excitement, a bubbling under kind of excitement. Do stuff like have your water ready and breathe deeply and remember to smile, because that is all the stuff that I think scene sets the space for you to be in the right frame of mind, to be ready to walk out on that stage and perform, whether it's in your mind or whether it is a real stage or just your camera in your lounge. It is what puts you in that huge frame of mind. Now, the thing that you can also say about the audience is probably that I don't think any audience wants us to fail. And these are some truths about the audience. You can really imagine that the audience believes that you're an expert. That's why they're there. That's why they came to see you. They want you to succeed. And if anything, they don't know what you're going to say next. So how would they know that you're tripping over your lines or falling over your script? Because they don't know what's in your head. And that is the kind of confidence that you can start out with as you begin your presentation. Now, I'm also going to share with you some thoughts around this thing that's the countdown clock. You know, moments before a webinar started just now, 8 minutes ago, there was this clock counting, and in the back of your mind, you can't help but think that all of this is coming to something. It's like the T minus 10-minute countdown for a rocket, to launch, to have excitement, to start something. There's this thing that going in 7 seconds, something amazing is going to happen. And you are breaking out in a sweat and it happens. Your breathing starts getting here and shallow and then it's starting time. And I found something to do at my webinars to go, what do I do to use that anticipation, but catapult it into something else? And you know what I've done is simply just to play a logo. Because this gives me another 10 seconds to jiggy, have a little bit of water, and say, hello, this is lights, camera, action, let's begin the show. That kind of anticipation that a clock builds, you can turn around to energize yourself and get yourself in the mood for what it is that you're going to do. You can regulate your breathing, you can grow tall, have your position well, and then you begin in your own time. As Clint Eastwood says when he directs, he never uses action, he says, begin when ready. And I can almost hear his voice do that in that deep Clint Eastwood kind of voice. It's calming, it's soothing, and it really just gets you in the mood. Let's go and talk a little bit about truth as well. I think it's important to also frame your nerves into a position of being truthful and being yourself. And it comes up as Dr. Seuss, of course, who had the saying, I think it's something along the line, I didn't put the quote down, and now my memory is going to fail me. It says, you're truer than true, today you're youer than you, today nobody can be truer than you. And I love that because it frames it in such a way that it's such a wonderful confidence to say, it doesn't matter where you are or where you're at, it is true that you can just be yourself and that'll be okay. Brings me to the quote that we got wrong on a typo last week or the week before last. Thank you very much, Ian, for that. It is Meryl Streep who says, what makes you different or weird, that is your strength. And I love this saying because it's saying that that's what you can play to. That's what you're bringing to the party that's special. And that is what gives you that confidence to kick in and to start this thing with good energy.